Hello, welcome to LLG's Random But Real. My name is Lisa L. Gilliam, and I am the host of this podcast, where we have conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. I use my performance, communication, and literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. Therefore, whether I am singing, speaking, or writing, it is my desire that my words will be melodic, just like music, to your ears. Please note, the comments expressed in this podcast are those of mine and or the guests. They are not intended to be used for professional guidance. Please seek a licensed professional if you are in need of care or therapy, experiencing trauma, or are in danger. And if in danger, please call 911. Thank you in advance for listening to LLG's Random But Real. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of LLG's Random But Real. And my name is Lisa Gilliam. I am the host of this podcast. If you've been following me, then you know that I've been saying that there's some things that I was going to talk about later. I was trying to decide if I should wait until after the procedure or prior to, but as I've been speaking to more people, more women, because this is specifically something that women have to endure. My men, I need you to listen to, because you might have a spouse or a girlfriend or significant other, maybe even a friend that's going through the same situation, and it can also affect you in that sense. Or you might be able to be helpful to them. But I decided to go ahead and talk about this before, the procedure happens, because I have, and I'm saying procedure, but actually it's a surgery, because I've spoken to so many people who've endured it. And, I think that there's sometimes shame that is surrounded by it, but it's not necessarily something that the female did wrong to cause it. So let's go back. Age 34 or 38, somewhere around that, I had gone to, and this, is a sensitive topic. I will put that in the title, gone to an OB/GYN, just regular checkup. And I was told that I had fibroids. And so I am now 50. I will be 51 next month. We do pre-record this broadcast, but I'll be around that same age by the time this comes out. And I was told I have fibroids and didn't really know a lot about them. For those of y'all who don't know, I decided to go to hopkinsmedicine.org. And then just kind of see their definition, what they put. And so fibroids are growths made of smooth muscle cells and fibrous connective tissue. The growths develop in the uterus and appear alone or in groups. And so for those who you all don't know, they range in size. They can be super, super small, and it can be a lot of them or a few of them. Every female is different. Never really know. But it can cause so many different issues, even some that I was not aware of. So fast forward to last year, around September, and some of the things that I'm going to mention in this podcast, some of the people don't even know kind of what happened to me. I remember I was supposed to go to this wine tasting with a friend, and they had death in their family. And I too was experiencing a loss, but my loss was finding out that I could not, well, it was advised that I shouldn't wait any longer to have surgery to remove the fibroids. But because of my age, because I am not, this is going to be very personal, y'all, premenopausal or perimenopausal, and some other factors, it was advised I should actually have a hysterectomy. And I'm sure many of you all know what a hysterectomy is. Excuse me. But I, if I was wanting to do that, I would have probably done it when I first found out about the fibroids, because that OB to me didn't really have a great bedside manner and was just like, just go ahead and just get a hysterectomy. I told you I was in my 30s. I, like many females, wanted to have children. When I got married, or after I got married, I wanted to have a family. And so I never thought my life would be what it is now. But here we are, almost, 20 years later almost. And this is now kind of what I'm facing. And it was a shock in a sense, because I had gone so long that I figured I would be able to kind of move past that. And also, even at 50, I would have still loved to have a child. So here I was at a doctor's appointment. I've had so many different issues. A lot of the ones that they kind of spell out, and I'll try to talk a little bit about that. But I do advise you, I'm not a doctor, so please do your own research when it comes to this. But it is often a sensitive topic, because there are so many things that that it involves. So found out, or was advised, that I should have this hysterectomy. So that meant I would not be able to, of course, have children at all, for sure. It wasn't any other, guessing or sidestepping with this. I've done everything I could do. I was past the other ways that they try to get rid of fibroids. And then I found out that mine were large in size. And there could be more hiding underneath, because they're so large that they weren't even able to get to them for a biopsy or a colposcopy, which is also something that they do preventatively, or I guess measures to check to make sure that there's no cancer, etc. So mine will have to be done after the surgery. And so since September, that week that I was supposed to go to that wine tasting, and I went, but I just wasn't kind of myself, because I was kind of dealing with the loss of something, grieving something that I wanted, to now, which is April. I've had to go to several different doctor's appointments because of the other health conditions that I've been facing, diabetes being one of them, and have had to try to do things to get my A1C down. But because of emotional eating and just stress, my job, just not so much, like, I love my job, but it is a very taxing job. I give all that I can to it. So nothing against my job, but just the way that I am with the scholars that I work with, staff, I don't know how to half do anything. And so with just life situations that have been happening, excuse me, I had not been able to get my A1C down. I have to give a shout out to On Duo, because I'm in a part of a diabetic management program, and through it, they're able to provide endocrinologists. When you're going to a lot of specialists, I have a teacher salary. I don't make a lot of money. And, yes, I sing and speak and, recite spoken word, but I haven't really been doing that a lot since the pandemic. My choice, but I am going to change that after this surgery. Because not only is it ministry for me, it's also a great way to make some extra money, which who can't use extra money, right? So finding out, or having to deal with the fact that I will not be able to ever have children, was devastating for me, because, like I said, it was something I wanted. Also, just getting that news at the time, I was still 50, part of me regretted the fact that I just didn't do it when I was in my 30s. And it made me miss my mom even more, because she was a nurse, and I wish that she was alive and around for me to talk to, but she's not. And I, couldn't discuss it with her. And honestly, the person I was supposed to go to the wine tasting with is one of the people that I often talked about my fears around not being able to have, children if it came to that. And so now here it was reality. So I felt like I was grieving the loss of one of my closest friends. But we've never had a discussion, kind of about that. And I didn't really know who I could talk to about it. Shout out to my girl Tracy, my co-author, and my friend Danya, even Cece, another friend. They did allowed me to talk to them. Dawn even took me to the hospital to have the biopsy. So I've kind of been doing this for myself. I mean, my family, my brother, sister-in-law were aware. And I'm grateful for them, helping and just being moral support as well. But it's hard when you live, you don't have children, I should say, no significant other, no parents, no grandparents, to be able to be there through this situation. One of my cousins, said that they would help, but that would require some other things, me to go to their location. I kind of want to heal in my own space. So I'm still figuring out the logistics about that. But for that reason, at 50, to be facing this type of major surgery by myself, it's caused a lot of loss, a lot of grief, and a lot of contemplation. And I've cried my way through it, prayed my way through it, just believe in God that everything's going to work out. The reason why my surgeon wanted to wait to get the A1C down is because being diabetic, I have greater chance of infection, which of course nobody wants that, right? I don't want to go in for one situation and have another. So I'm praying and believing that God's going to work that out as well. Excuse me. And, I've had a lot of kind of ups and downs when it came to this particular situation, because if it were up to me, I wouldn't have surgery. I had surgery when I was younger, and that, it wasn't major, but it wasn't super minor either, but that was, nothing compared to this. I'll have to be under longer, and because of the size of them, you just never know, right? But I've learned since that specific diagnosis and since going to all the specialists, and thank God everything else has been cool. Hopefully after having my final consult later this month, I'll be able to have the surgery. But it might end up happening around my 51st birthday, which who wants that? And I'm going to miss some graduation ceremonies of my kids and maybe family because I'll be recovering. But I look forward to having no pain. So, the removal, well, let's just go through this. Fibroids can cause, like I said, serious pain, pelvic pain. It could be because of, or it could cause, I was talking to somebody who said, it caused them, well, let me just say this. It can move, basically, they can move body parts. They can be so large that they can remove body parts. Melon size, even. So, someone was mentioning me soccer size. Another person has told me, that it caused difficulty with breathing. Like, I know that it's all body parts or things that are in the body, but I never thought about the problems it was causing. And I just kind of dealt with it. One of the most common is heavy bleeding. And so I don't know if y'all know the scripture about the woman with the issue of blood, but let's just say I can identify. And it can cause clotting. It just has a lot more to it than what meets the eye. But, this is a mental health podcast as well. So I also wanted to bring up the fact that, like I said, I was single. So when I'm dating someone, even if the guy's in their 50s, I don't know that they don't want to have children, but this is something that, I know I won't be able to have. And so it becomes a conversation very early on in the dating process, which I don't necessarily want to have, about this. It also could cause, other issues because it's something that I share, like I said, pretty early on. So the person knows I'm, not making anything up. This really is a severe thing, or I could have, like I said, extreme pain. It can affect your emotions. It can be very draining if you're, on your cycle a long period of time. Not know, some of them don't know when or if it's going to be regular, and that's with birth control or not without birth control. There are a lot of different things that kind of happen, because of it. And so, I can't believe that I've been dealing with it for so long. And like I said, sometimes I have regrets and wish that I just had it when I was in my 30s. if I knew that this is how my life was going to be, then yeah, I would have probably gone ahead and did that. But the Hopkins medicine site says other risk factors will their reproductive age are most likely to be affected, those women in that state or that age. But family history of fibroids, obesity, diet high in red meat, and high blood pressure, which growing up, I had kind of all of that. My size, like I say all the time, I'm fat. My fat is really in the stomach area, which is also attributed to the diabetes, etc. And so, but I do have some of those other risk factors or have had them in my life. So they say some of the symptoms are heavier prolonged periods, which I mentioned, bleeding between periods, which I mentioned, a bad abdominal discomfort and or fullness, pelvic pain, lower back pain, bladder problems such as frequent urination or difficulty emptying the bladder, which a friend was sharing me. They went through that. Mine, I've never been pregnant, but I was like, oh my gosh, this must be what my friends who have been pregnant say that they go through, because I found out that one sits on the bladder, and I was always going to the bathroom. So because I had diabetes and I would have frequent urination, that was one of the symptoms of it when I was diagnosed. I thought that meant that my sugar was high again. Well, no, it had nothing to do with the sugar. It was these daggone fibroids. It can also cause bowel symptoms such as constipation or excessive straining with bowel movements, which, as you know, can lead to hemorrhoids. And then it says women with fibroids can also experience infertility, complications during pregnancy, and pain during intercourse. And one of the things that, like I said, from a mental health standpoint, is grieving the fact that the loss that I won't ever be able to have children when that's something I wanted. But it's also, like I said, having those conversations with your partner, or because there have been times that I've definitely had boyfriends throughout the years, and just letting them know, hey, this is the situation. And I know that, all my friends know I'm a Christian, saved, love the Lord, whatever I do. But I'm just being real about what, things that not just me, but other women might have to discuss or come up with or talk to their significant others about. I was telling somebody the other day, as much as I wanted to have a child, and grieve that fact, I think I would feel worse if I, at some point in my life, got pregnant and the baby died because of the fibroids being so large that, as it said, infertility can happen. Either you do get pregnant or you get pregnant and you have complications. I know some people who've lost their babies because of this. And I think that probably would have been a lot more devastating for me, because I'm very empathetic and, just loving person. And since that was something I wanted, I think it probably would have hurt me a lot more. So as much as I didn't want this route or path in my life, I do believe always that God is in charge and he's able and he wants what's best for me. And so that does give me some solace in this process. But it hasn't been an easy one. And then talking to even sometimes friends about it, someone mentioned to me today, like, well, you can always, adopt. Well, first of all, I know that. I would hope that people would stop making the suggestions and just try to be present and listen to the person who's, experiencing this, and ask them what they need or how they can be supported, instead of suggesting things like that. Suggesting adoption to a person who wants to have children isn't necessarily, in my opinion, the best way to show your support. Instead, just ask them how they're feeling. I would have loved people to say, well, how do you feel? Are you okay? Are you, able to deal, with this blow? I have to shout out my friend / sis, Stephanie. She texted me the other day and was just like, hey, I know you're going to the consult soon. Are you okay with going by yourself? Like, do you, basically, do you need support? And I appreciate that, because the surgeon that's performing this is the director of the hospital for the OB program or department, but she's the practice partner of my actual OB. And so they're in practice together. My doctor does not do the surgery, but the doctor that owns the practice with her is the one who performs the surgery. So I've gotten to know her as well. And I appreciate And she's like, hey, no, you need to get this A1C down before I had the surgery. But, it's been a long road. Like I said, September to April, I'm hoping that in May, this can take place and that this part of my life will be done. Even though I'm recording this right now, I may wait and hold off a few more podcast episodes before I actually put this out there. And maybe do a follow-up after about the recovery process. I was hoping that I could have a few of my friends or family members come on the show. I asked some other people who've already experienced it, and they said they would, but for whatever reasons, they didn't. And one of the things, if you've listened to any of my podcasts this year, I said that I wasn't chasing anybody down. If I ask and you say, yeah, then that's great. And if we can move it towards that, and that's for this topic or any other topic. So I guess it was meant for me to just talk about my own process, the pre-process of what's happened. And hopefully, like I said, I can, before the 10 episodes are up for the season, talk about the post-process. But I'm excited to live a life pain-free. I'm excited to not have to spend extra money on feminine products. There's so many, like I said, different things that go along with having a diagnosis like this. And although I wish that I could have used or done, another type of removal, I'm okay. I believe it'll work out. And I'm believing that I'll get a great report when it comes to them getting, testing after the surgery for cancer as well. I believe that all things work together for good to them to love the Lord, to them that are called according to his purpose. And so because of that, sorry about that, y'all. I thought I put this on Do Not Disturb. So because of that, I'm just believing that it's going to be fine. That hospital, like I said, is actually the hospital where my mom died. And so whenever I go to my appointments, which are the professional centers right next door, or whenever I go to the hospital, I'm triggered because of those memories. But my doctors are so amazing that I am okay with having the surgery, there. And I trust God, and I trust that he will guide them and that it's going to work out. And, like I said, embolization would have been nice, or, they have magnetic resonance, guided focus ultrasounds. They have radio frequency ablation of fibroids, but my doctors felt like that was not the route I should go. So, like I said, everything works together for good. And that's Romans 8:28. I believe that scripture. That's one of my favorite scriptures. And I'm excited for the new life that I'll have post the surgery. And I would love to hear how other people have dealt with this. This is such a topic that a lot of women I've found they suffer in silence. And I refuse to suffer in silence. I don't care if it's mental health issues, physical issues. There's somebody else that's experienced the same things that I've experienced. And so my prayer is that we will start to talk about that. Men, if you have somebody in your life that's experiencing this, I pray that you would rally around them, support them. I'm thankful for my friends who are like, hey, I'll cook for you, or, I will DoorDash you or Uber Eats you, even some of my friends that are out of town. So I'm grateful for my village. Thank you in advance for wanting to be there for me. And I just look forward to a happier, pain-free life. Things are going to be different once this is over. And so, thanks for taking the time to listen. I hope that, like I said, you all who have experienced it will share your experience. If you don't know anything about fibroids and, the things that kind of go along with it, this is the tip of the iceberg, but it was on my heart to share what I've kind of been dealing with, which I said that I would share eventually. My plan was to do it after, but, this was really on my heart to share now. So, or at least get it out, recording into the atmosphere. So I hope that if there's anybody else that's facing or dealing with fibroids and dealing with any of the symptoms that I mentioned, I understand several of them. And my prayer is that you too will find relief in whichever way or manner you have to go in order to get that relief. But I do hope that you all will share this podcast, that you will share, not because I'm excited about sharing my business, but just because I'm willing to actually share with other people who are dealing with, the situation and want to, I just want to help. I just want to help heal, help encourage. And that's all I have to say. Please like, share, and subscribe to my social media pages at One Singing Lady, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Or you can listen to my YouTube page, to my songs, music, spoken word, and some speeches, etc. as well, other videos. And that's youtube.com, One Singing Lady, OneSingingLady. And you can also visit my website, www.lisalgilliam.com. Thanks so much for listening. You all have a blessed day. Lisa, One Singing Lady, out. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's podcast, LLG's Random But Real. I appreciate your support and your time. Until next time, please make sure you visit my website, www.lisalgilliam.com, so you can find out more information about where this podcast is streamed, about my book, about the CDs, and spoken word. Again, I appreciate your support, and I look forward to hearing from you and you all listening to the next episode. Have a wonderful day.